Hello, everybody. We have a couple of stories to share with you that the woke, corrupt media have buried completely. Number one, I'm going to share with you Representative Higgins absolutely obliterating, as he should have, Congresswoman Pressley, who says, out of personal privilege, no doubt, no less, how dare you invoke Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words? This actually happened in Congress, and then you got to see the entire clip. She goes on to disgrace the entire chamber, the entire process, the entire government, really. You got to see this. And then we're going to travel up north to Oakland, California, where residents, it just saddens me deeply as somebody who's from here, have at their wits' end, because Oakland is deciding to make cuts in this specific area that is an absolute detriment to the entire city. Wait till you hear one resident's plea. And then we have a beautiful, delicious dessert for you at the end. Stick around. Our boy Scott Jennings, who I think would have made an amazing White House press secretary if we didn't need him so bad to refute and come correct all these radical left extremists on CNN. Literally, it's the only reason, CNN's only saving grace is Scott Jennings. It's the only reason you should ever watch CNN. He absolutely causes this entire panel to melt down when he talks about Trump's plan of deportation. You got to see this. But first, check this out. A new poll by CBS, no less, just came out that Americans are surging with a renewed sense of pride, that their vision, their anticipation, and their thoughts about the future have never been more positive, as Trump's approval rating surges to a whopping 59%. The guy hasn't even been sworn into office, but already Americans feel a lot safer. They feel a lot more comfortable. They feel a lot more optimistic. And this proves it. I mean, it's not coming from a biased, well, CBS is biased, but the fact that it's coming from a radical, a propagandist machine woke station like CBS, network like CBS, says volumes. It's probably a lot higher than that, given the context. But this just really, to me, is a hopeful sign, because if viewers of CBS are seeing this, feeling this, thinking this, it's a good thing that we can, perhaps, it's hopeful that we can bridge this unholy divide. I call Obama the divider in chief, that all started back when he became president. But I want to get your thoughts right now in the comments. How do you feel about the future of America now that President Trump has won the election? I think I have a pretty good idea where you're headed, but I would love to hear from you. Do you feel as optimistic as the 60%, or do you disapprove like the 41%? Boo. Let me know in the comments down below. No, I want to hear all viewpoints, so please let me know. Okay, here is Representative Ayanna Pressley, who actually has the audacity to try to tell other members of Congress who they can and can't quote. She believes she can dictate what words another human being, another American free citizen can use. The American people voted strongly against this censorship. Watch as Representative Clay Higgins absolutely obliterates her. Watch this, and then watch her reaction. It is abysmal.
I'd like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Yes. Your perversion of his words and his mission, when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work, when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. A colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
I thank my colleague, and I appreciate my Democrat colleague for exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right? That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Well, thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
A disgrace.
And we will continue to speak freely because now I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's the Constitution I swore an allegiance to. And that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote. And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back against.
Yeah, I would love to get your thoughts. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Congresswoman Pressley? I don't know if you could hear this, but she started to interrupt him and say shameful, disgraceful. I mean, completely obliterating the veneer, the dignity, the character, the integrity of the office, of the process, of the bicameral legislator. It's so shameful. It's so low class. But I'd love to see who you agree with. Do you agree with Representative Higgins? Or do you agree with Representative Pressley? I would love to get your thoughts. But just a little bit of context on what they're arguing. They're actually arguing for a bill to rid any federal institutions and organizations of all these DEI woke, oppressive, racist, discriminatory practices, which is exactly what DEI is, because it's cancerous and it's based on one criteria. It's based on things you have zero control over: skin pigmentation, gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, as opposed to merit, qualifications, skills, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. Why would you be opposed to that? Dr. Martin Luther King was opposed to that. Here, allow me to quote you, Representative Pressley. Here, allow me to quote Dr. King, Mrs. Pressley. I dream one day my children will not be judged by the color of their skin, aka DEI, but of the content of their character, aka meritocracy, their skill level, their amount, breadth, and depth, the barometer of their hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. Why are you opposed to that? And how dare you say that's racism? That any white person that invokes Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is disgraceful, shameful, and racial. How dare you say that's exactly the antithesis of what he fought for? That's exactly why. And I have to say, I think Representative Higgins is absolutely right. This exemplifies the very nature and basis of this bill they're trying to pass. I mean, we've got so many big problems. People can't eat. They can't sleep. They're stressed out. They have no money. The economy still is in a slump, no matter how many times you want to convince us, no, actually, things are going well. They don't feel safe in the cities around them. We have crime skyrocketed. We've got all sorts of problems everywhere you turn, which is why the American people have spoken, and they executed a mandate on November 5th. And you want to focus on who and what anyone can quote? Are you kidding me right now? Okay, in our next story, I just wanted to, because this kind of hits home with me as somebody who lives in the state of California, who loves California, and just it pains me and saddens me to no end to see what Newsom, Kamala had a lot to do with it too. It's the same parasitic methodology and woke ideologies. And now Oakland, which is a sanctuary city, which has experienced just unbelievable abject poverty, abject exodus of businesses and residents alike, skyrocketing crime in almost every area of the city. Now that they're facing a budget crisis, they want to cut an already stifled and bridled law enforcement police department, as well as firefighters. Watch this. Residents are sick and tired of it.
To cut already shortened police department makes absolutely no sense. And to cut the fire department means absolutely no sense.
Tahira Hodge worries about possible cuts to police and fire. She and her family evacuated from their home last month in the Keller fire. She credits the fire department for saving her neighborhood.
I looked out and I saw all the smoke and there was some fire in the trees, and I was like, oh my gosh.
In a contingency budget plan released in June, the city talked about reducing the police force down to around 600 officers. Right now, the city has roughly 670 officers. Oakland had 613 officers back in 2013, so 600 would make it the smallest force in years. The contingency plan would also brown out a handful of fire stations, freeze positions across city departments, and reduce hours at rec centers, libraries, and senior centers.
This is the bullet that we all dodged, my fellow Americans. If Kamala Harris would have won, oh, thank God she didn't, we would have been facing the Californication of America. She would have made America California. Gavin Newsom, Pelosi, Schiff, Kamala, they all, it's the same exact methodology and ideology. Soft on crime, let criminals do whatever they want. Hard-working, blue-collar, everyday, blood, sweat, and tears, tax-paying citizens get squadoosh, goose egg. I don't understand it. There is, throughout the record and the annals of history, there is example after example after example. When you don't have law and order, you don't have a society. When you don't have defenders, you don't have a republic. And yet they still, time and time again, they just constantly want to penalize those who enforce the law, penalize those who are trying to help, since, of course, there's bad fish in every part, nook and cranny, industry, etc., etc., of course, but the good far outweigh the bad. You cannot use the least common denominator as a litmus test for the whole. Why? It still pains me and confounds me why they just keep doing this, penalizing those who want to enforce it and helping those that want to break it. What's the point of working? What's the point of following the law and abiding by your civic duties, obligations, etc., when you're just going to give free rein? Don't forget, Oakland is a sanctuary city. Oakland is the only city, and it will be the only city in the history of mankind to actually have the most successful business, relatively speaking, leave, not because business was bad, but because they couldn't assure the safety of their employees. Do you know who I'm talking about? Let me know in the comments. This is absolutely preposterous. Shame on you, Oakland. Shame on you for harboring criminal illegal migrants. Instead of cutting the funding to spending for their room and board, their health care, their food stamp bills, their credit cards, tens of thousands of credit cards, instead of funding this so you can continue to rig elections, why don't you actually take care of the citizens who work hard, who live, work, breathe, eat, sleep, and raise their families here? By the way, if you don't know what business it was, it's one of my favorite places. I just ate there the other day. The consistency, the quality of service, quality of product is bar none. I'm talking of none other than In-N-Out Burger. Yes, In-N-Out Burger left Oakland not because business was bad, business was booming, because of theft, smash and grab, crime, running absolutely unfettered. Shame on you, Oakland. Shame on you, Newsom. Shame on you, Kamala. I'm hoping to God, now that we have the mandate, things are going to change. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Okay, in our final story, I just absolutely love Scott Jennings. I think Scott Jennings might just be an American hero. His articulation, his intelligence, his forthrightness, his honesty, and the fact that he holds these propagandist lunatics accountable when they just release these ridiculous statements time and time again about everything under the sun is just so beautiful. Watch as he causes the entire panel, including Katie Collins, to have an utter meltdown when it comes to Trump's plan of deportation. Watch this.
Inflation will go up. One of the reasons inflation has been lower in the last few years is that we've had a lot more immigration.
Did it go up when Obama deported 5 million people? I think concerns about this are overblown. We've got 1.6 million people with deportation orders right now and another violent population. I mean, I don't think that alone is going to drive up the cost of groceries in the short term. And people want it to happen.
You don't think mass deportations will affect the labor force or agriculture industry?
Or building houses to bring down the
Even
cost
if you're
of
pro it, you have to consider that. I mean,
I think if you exit people that have already have deportation orders from the court, and you exit people who are violent criminals, that is in no way, shape, or form going to hurt the economy, but it just might make people feel a little safer about their communities. Way more than that. And obviously, Trump trusts him. And I do think BERSERK has the ability to translate MAGA, to Wall Street audiences and to financial audiences. And that's a good thing. I mean, we live in a communications world. The policies are one thing, but then you have to tell people what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why it's good for the country. I mean, a lot of what happens, I think, in the financial world is based on confidence. Do we have confidence in what the government is doing? Do we have confidence in the president and his team? This is obviously a confidence pick. And so I think it'll be good. I think in the first term, Treasury was one of his most successful cabinets. Set up to be another round of that in the second go-around, which is vital for him since he's an economic kind of guy.
Yeah,
Hold on. There were plenty of people who were around that and plenty of things in that are basic standard Republican stuff, like, cutting the size of the federal government, reducing the size of bureaucracy. I mean, don't threaten me with a good time. I hope he does it, and I hope he's aggressive about it. And so this is not groundbreaking or stuff. This is what Republicans have wanted for a very long time. And Vaught is very skilled. He did a great job the first time around. I like that he's coming back. He knows. He knows where all the levers and knobs are, and he's going to hopefully execute on this agenda that not just Donald Trump has said he wants, it Republicans have said they've wanted for decades.
Yeah, I think Scott Jennings is an absolute treasure, and the left just keeps having a meltdown, and it's just going to really be the cause of consistent demises and losses, huge, gigantic L's in the future, if they don't just wake up and actually listen to the people. My fellow Americans, the radical extreme left, I'm not even talking Democrat because they're not even recognizable anymore. This isn't the Democrat Party. This is why RFK Jr. left. This is why Tulsi Gabbard left. This is why you see lifelong Democrats. We had Evan Barker on the show. Lifelong Democrat raising millions of dollars for the party left because they have become so far removed, so out of touch, so below the pulse of the people that they just keep believing what they are shoveling, and they don't listen. And this is just going to be an accrual of L after L after L. I would love to get your thoughts on this. It appears to me they don't care about us. They continually keep sending this message out there, the radical extreme woke left, that we know more about what should happen than you and I, us. And that's not how you do it. A government of the people, for the people, and by the people. You cannot have a government that executes like that if you don't listen to us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me know in the comments down below. By the way, I know what you're doing right now. You're eyeing this amazing hat. Look at that. We are so back. We've got 100% original, made in the USA merchandise for you. We got hats, onesies, hoodies, shirts, stickers, Christmas ornaments, stuffing stockers, the whole kit and caboodle. 100% original, made in the USA, in the pinned comment. All you gotta do is click on that. It's kind of like a link tree. You can do kill two birds with one stone. I never really liked that phrase. Anyway, you can do two things at once. You can sign up for our free newsletter, absolutely free. And if you go down to the bottom, you'll see Nez Nation original merchandise. Click on that. Bada boom, bada bing. You'll see all the beautiful things that you can purchase. We also have discount codes, etc., etc. Check it out. Have a ball. You're going to love it. Why not give somebody, these make great Christmas gifts. Give somebody something unique. Don't give them the same crap from Target. Give them something unique, for crying out loud. That's what I do. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here if you haven't seen them already. Tap my face right there. Subscribe and follow if you haven't. And as always, may God bless you and may God bless the USA. I'll see you soon.